and welcome to New Horizons. My name is Dylan Bryant, and tonight we are going to be photographing the king of the planets, Jupiter. I'm about to go and set up the telescope and see what we can get. This is a live view of Jupiter. If you notice, there are two dots in this image, one below Jupiter and one to the left. The one below Jupiter is the moon Callisto, while the one to the left is Europa. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some videos of Jupiter, put them in a stacking software to get a cleaner image, then we will take a closer look and examine what we are actually looking at. Alright guys, well this is our stacked image of Jupiter, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to dissect this image and explain what exactly we're looking at. Now first I'm going to start with the moons, and we're going to look at Callisto first. Now this is actually really interesting to be able to see a surface like this. Typically when we look at Jupiter, we see the moons as almost like lights going around the planet, which is actually very interesting to see. The Callisto actually has a surface. Now, speaking of the surface, it is a very dark surface, which you can kind of tell compared to Jupiter, but it also has a lot of impact craters. It is actually the most cratered body in the solar system. Now, looking at Europa, Europa appears in this image to be about the same size as Callisto, but this is not the case. Like I said, these objects appear as lights orbiting the planet, and that is what we're getting right here. Because Europa is actually a much more reflective object than Callisto, so we're getting a lot more light and we cannot actually see a surface. Because it almost looks like a surface, but I just know that Europa is a much smaller object than Callisto, so appearing this big is just because it's reflecting so much light. But like I mentioned, Europa is a very icy world. It's literally just like a frozen piece of ice orbiting Jupiter. That's why it's so reflective, and it also may have a subsurface ocean, which means that an ocean could exist underneath the ice, where life could theoretically exist. NASA is actually planning a mission to go to Europa in the near future called the Kuiper mission to explore this world and see if it does really have a subsurface ocean. Now looking at Jupiter, looking at the northern portion of the planet, it doesn't seem like there's too much going on. I mean, I can definitely tell there are storms going on in the northern region because we can see a variation in colors, which definitely indicates storms. Now, looking a little bit south, I'm actually surprised I was able to catch this, but this is the North Temperate Belt right here. Now, this belt is very thin, as you can tell, and I'm actually very surprised that I was able to catch it. This is actually my first time actually catching this belt using the telescope. Now, looking at the North Equatorial Belt, it is kind of interesting because we see more dynamics within the atmosphere, and it does appear we have a storm forming right there. The North Equatorial Belt is actually branching off into the North Tropical Zone, which is actually pretty interesting. Now, the equatorial zone is very dynamic in this image. A lot of cloud patterns through here, a lot of different colors, because it seems like this white is actually like more of a reddish white over here, and as we go further, it's like a bluish white and then a pure white, and then it like drops back into the orangish white again. Now, looking in the south temperate zone, it does appear we have two very big storms forming, and maybe another one right here, can't really tell. But there's definitely some turbulence through this area right here, probably because of that storm going through the clouds. Now looking at the South Polar region, similarly to the north, it does look like it has some sort of turbulence going on. It does appear maybe a storm right there, storm right there. Now this kind of shows you what exactly we're looking at. Nothing too crazy, but it is a very nice picture.